The Hangout on Air Live.
Oh yeah, that wind. It's wonderful.
Hey, you know what? At least you got some.
And
Here in my office, they turn off the heat on the weekends, and
oh, lovely.
yeah, it's button that cold.
I was gonna say that explains the jacket then.
Yeah, yeah, it's 65 outside, going to be 72 today, and I get in my office, and I think it says 66 or 67.
Lovely.
Yeah, so but it'd be all right. It could be worse, you know. It could be just sweltering hot in here.
Exactly.
That would be the miserable thing right there. You know, have you ever
Going to my
watched
Google.
yourself do your live show on YouTube through the YouTube itself, not the Hangout screen, but through YouTube itself? It is freaky because there's such a delay. You're like, well, where? There it goes.
No, I have not.
Oh man, I tell you what, it'll mess with your brain, really, because you need it for the live chat side. It's on the right hand side of the screen.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, it's freaky. And if you don't do like I did last time, I forgot to mute the sound on my computer. All of a sudden, you can hear this echo, this delayed echo coming at
And then you're like, wait a second, what is going on?
you. Yeah, wait a minute there. So yeah, so oh man, we're good. Let me get my little sheet up so I know I can actually talk intelligently to you instead of like an idiot. Yeah, see, there you go. It's so weird, man. It is so freaky. I mean, you need the delay, obviously, but
Right.
you know, whew. How do you like the how do you like that camera? It's looking pretty good on that mug of yours.
Matter of fact, that's what's plugged in right now. I've got, everything
Yeah.
plugged in. Like I said, it come with the little bag and everything. And I was like, dang, this actually is a nice little get up.
Yeah, it works pretty good. And what's nice about it is that it'll go the full 4K.
Right.
Like if you're using like OBS, like Wirecast or something like that, you can set the resolution in these step down sections. So you can go from full 4K to like the next step below it, the next step below it, the next step below it, UHD, the next step until you get to 1080, then a couple more steps in 720. So
Oh, wow.
it doesn't do this big jump from one to the other where you only get 3 stops, if you will. It'll give you everything in between. You're like, ooh, because like the like now it's kind of wasted on Hangouts because Hangouts only really goes out at 720.
Right.
It might do 1080, but it's kind of wasted. But if you live broadcast, through like OBS or Wirecast or stuff, you can broadcast at full 4K.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff that I haven't really even touched into. So I between Luria and David with live streaming pros, and then there's another small group that I joined to try to see how everything is. I can't keep up with it. It's been ridiculous.
Excuse me. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I keep it pretty simple because there's not much that I really need to do or want to do because I just don't like a lot of fluff and fancy stuff on everything else. But
Right.
but yeah, you can go. I was talking to another gentleman, Zach of Dweeb Factory. He and I had lunch, and we were talking about live streaming and doing different things and about cameras and bandwidth and things of that nature. Interesting conversation. But yeah, you can go crazy. You could buy a house just for live streaming.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's the ridiculous part about it, because it's just like, geez, you can turn your house into a complete studio, like a regular TV studio, and it's all going through the internet. And that's basically, because I've been looking at Luria's and them's setup, and I think their cheapest generic, just absolutely nothing, is $15,000. That's their first baseline package, and then just skyrockets from there.
And that's crazy. I mean, I guess if that is your job and that's your gig, or if that's something you're passionate about doing, then it's worth the money. But
Oh, absolutely.
man, 15,000. I'm like going, man, I want to get the new GH5, and that's $2,000. I'm like, ew.
That's the camera that they tout right now. They're touting the GH5, and I'm like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, but see, really, if you look at it, because Zach and I were talking about it, if you are if you're going to get one multi-tool, multitasker, right? So you want to go out, you want to shoot video, or you want to take some photos and things of that nature, then I think the GH5 right now is probably the best multitasker you can buy. If you got to buy one thing, right? That's all you got. You know, you got enough in the cookie jar for one item. I think the GH5 is it. And I don't think anybody will really disagree with that. Some might say the Sony A6500, but I think if you're doing a lot of blogging and selfie stuff, you need that flip up camera. You need everything that, especially with the new update they did, 400 megabytes at 422, 10
Oh,
bit
wow.
coming straight out, HDMI straight out of the camera. I mean, it's crazy insane. So, you know, the Logitech is good because it does the full 4K, and it's really nice. And if you use something like ScreenFlow, where you can record it and the audio from the Logitech and the audio from your microphone, like if you're doing a screen shares or something like that, then you're golden. So I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you can, and if you use it for a B camera because it's just USB, if you're going to plug it in, you could use it for a little B camera or something else if you wanted to, and use the GH5 as your main. But yeah, I've been tossing around what I want to do and how I want to get it and things of that nature. So, but I got to wait till next year. You know, I got the big car in the shop getting a little fix and then a little tweaking. So that's going to cost me 7 kidneys.
Wow, my truck's only going to cost probably like $1,000 because I could get a new transmission. Matter of fact, I've been getting the codes because I have the T-Mobile sync driver from Verizon. I think it's the whatever, but it's the little thing that plugs into your ODB dongle. Yeah. And you plug it in and it tells you all the codes and stuff. And it also gives you free Wi-Fi and all that stuff. Well, not free Wi-Fi, you're paying for it. But yeah, on my way back, the last few weeks, I've had the little codes pop up. I'm like, oh God, it's going to be soon. And then like last week, as I was shifting, I could hear it go, and you're like, oh, it's going to be soon because it's literally about to reach, I think it's 247,000 miles. So it's about to reach that 250,000 mile mark. And, you know, to be honest with you, it hasn't had really any engine issues ever at all. So to go, you know, 250,000 miles without ever having anything, and we've stayed on top of oil changes and fluids and all that stuff, I think it's done pretty well.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Mine just had a little leak coming from the head gasket. And so, you know, they got to take the top off and replace the head gasket. But I was like, you know, if you got to do that, you might as well go ahead and do this. And then next thing you know, as me and the guy walking around looking at the car, I said, hey, since you're here, why don't you go ahead and do that? So, yeah, I mean, $1,000, that got me into the service department. That's all it did. It's like in John Wick. That was just the gold coin that you put in the slot that got the door open. That's all it was. You know?
Yeah, too funny.
If you haven't seen them, but yeah, I shot pictures over of the engine all taken apart and everything in the Slack channel. Yeah, it's all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then of course, you know, I found out my headlight was going out, just a bulb.
Right.
And you know, since he's got it all apart, you know, you have to do that anyways to get to the bulb to put the bulb in, because God forbid they actually make it like every other car in the world where you just open the hood and you stick your hand in and did it. Nah, shoot, no. That'd be simple. Well, yeah, come on. We're going to do it the hard way. Take the entire front bumper off. Yeah,
wow.
Stupid. Yeah, that little bulb right there is $150 for the high.
What?
Yeah, just for the
what?
bulb. Yeah, the bulb.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So when I was doing all this, I had to come to a moment where I decided, is the car worth
it?
Worth it. And if I can get 3 more years out of it, because it's almost paid off. I'm almost done paying that sucker off. If I can get at least 3 more years out of it, then it will be worth it. Because I mean, it still has good pulling power. It still rolls down the highway like nobody's business.
Right.
It's still comfortable. It's big, you know. And they gave me a loaner car. They gave me a Jetta. So I went from a car that's 7 miles long to a clown car. Right. So I'm just like, I push the seat back so that I'm comfortable in it as far as leg room and length and everything. And I kid you not, There is this much space between the back of the seat and the back seat.
Oh, wow.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm
Nobody's
like,
riding back there with you.
I'm like, I can't even put a stinking grocery bag in there. Maybe I can get one magazine in there, just one. Right. And that's it. Just slide it in there. You know, that's the emergency pocket. That's what that is in the airplane. That's where your emergency stuff is right there. In case of emergency, reach back behind your seat, stick your hand in there if it'll fit, and pull it out. So,
Funny.
Yeah. And then, of course, I'm watching your little about Bitcoin going up. I'm like, damn.
So you want to go ahead and get started then?
Yeah, let's talk about how much it's worth. $15,488 right now for one.
Yeah, I'm seeing that on Coinbase, absolutely. Yeah. And then that's just the one to get you in the door, to be honest with you. The funny thing is, so since we've last talked, and for viewers that may be watching this live or viewers that are watching this later, since we've last talked, a lot of things have changed in my life. I now work for Lyft. I am the face, or a face of many, behind the @Lyft on Facebook and @Lyft on Twitter. So I will be part of that. If you ever are a Lyft customer and have issues and you want to reach out via social media, I will be one of those many faces.
They're going to actually show your face on there, or are they just going to be like an avatar?
No,
because if they're showing your face, they should just swipe left.
No, so yeah, I'll be social media help out, basically customer service or customer experience as they call it. So I really love what they do as far as a company. They're very much help the customer the best way you think you would want to be helped, or however. So I love the whole culture of the company. I think it's going to be great. And then even more recently, in the last, I would say 2 months, I have joined the cryptocurrency world, and I really shouldn't even leave it to just the last few months. I actually joined it in February of 2015. I wrote about this on my blog. I joined. So, how much of cryptocurrency do you know about? How far back? What are your thoughts before I go into what cryptocurrency is?
Hey, just, you know what? Look, we're already in the deep end. You might as well just go ahead and jump on in there. There's no sense piddling around and trying to tread water with your little water wings, because in reality, cryptocurrency is such a generic term, I think, right now. I don't think people really understand what cryptocurrency actually is. I do, but I think a lot of people don't. So why don't we just go from the bottom up and make sure we pick up all the toys and get to the top.
Okay, so I'll split it into two different parts of what cryptocurrency is. First, crypto, and then currency, just to make it high view, sky view, very basic. Crypto behind cryptocurrency is there's a lot of mathematics and things that go into how cryptocurrency works. You have to actually, to get into cryptocurrency, as far as if you're going to be a miner, or if you're going to be something like that, you have to have a machine that's capable of doing a lot of math problems and cryptography to get Bitcoins or pieces of a Bitcoin or whatever. So that's the crypto half. Currency is the other half. It's an actual live currency that is available to you and to anyone around the world that has access to some sort of internet connected device, and you can purchase and trade things for pretty much anything. It doesn't matter what it is. There is, like you just said a few minutes ago, a value of $15,000 for one. So it's very interesting, because last week they topped out at like 19.7. I think one of the exchanges topped out at 19.7, was just $19,700. And then it dropped back down, and it's been dropping down kind of whatever. They're trying to lower and get back, on a good uphill tick, because it, as of like yesterday, it dropped down to 13,000, which for me, I don't care. I'm in the long haul. This is what Bitcoin is about. There's volatility. It's a high risk, high thing. It's insane to think about. At the beginning of 2007, it was just $1,000, and here it is now reaching $15,000 to $18,000. So that's the other half of it. It looks to be that it may, in the future, be to replace the United States dollar and other currencies around the world in the world market. I don't think so. I think it's going to be a complementary currency, just like we use credit cards, or we use diner club cards, or we use insert any other form of payment. I think it's going to be a complementary form of payment, not so much a takeover, only because I just don't see everyone jumping on this bandwagon. I'm jumping in this bandwagon because I'm a techno person, and a lot of tech people that I know will jump into it, but it's just one of those weird things of taking it to a mass market and getting it to the everyday use. We're still probably 2 to 5 years out before we see it in a full-on mass market for everyone to use.
Well, I think I don't. So here's the issue I have is, one, not everybody's going to be able to do it or get it, right? So your mom and pops, your grandmas, your grandpas, everybody who doesn't care about technology will have no use for it. Plus, you have the volatility. What Steam, I think it was, just stopped accepting Bitcoin because the cost associated per transaction, which was like almost $20 to buy a game, well, that transaction is just as much as the actual game itself was in some cases. So they've actually stopped accepting Bitcoin as payment. And I, until it gets down to where it's a one-to-one transaction like it is with credit cards or with actual cash and currency wherever you are, I don't see it useful for anything other than buying stuff you don't want anybody to track. That's where I see it going. It's going to be the dark web, the underwebs, the overwebs, everywhere else where you don't want anybody to track your spending like they do with credit cards. Even cash, there's some trackability with cash. It's very limited, but that is where I think it's going to go and head. Personally, I don't think it'll ever be big enough, because you got what? You got Bitcoin, you got Ethereum, you got Dogma, and a couple others as well. That are just throwing in the mix. There's going to be too many choices out there for me to say, okay, this one is going to be it. And it's just so, like you said, it's so volatile. It's very high risk, high reward. But at the same time, what does it cost me to get into the game? And I think you went out and tell me about all the equipment you got in order to start your mining.
So on my end, I got started, and I'll leave it sitting over there. But basically, I got in on the mining side of things because I had taken out my 401 and was like, I'm going to do some different things with it, see what happens. And I basically set aside $1,000 to go through and say, I'm going to play with this, do whatever I want to with it at this point, and see what else I can do with it. So I took out that $1,000 and put it into Bitcoin first. I just went into Coinbase. It's one of the most easy things you can get into. Bought into Coinbase. I bought in on October 23rd when the price was like $5,637 or something like that. I don't remember the exact price, but it was somewhere around $5,600. Now, the initial price and any sort of initial exchanges will take, I think it's 8 days, something like that, to go from US dollar to Bitcoin. So I wasn't able to actually get in until October 31st and then start using until like November the 1st. So I bought in on October 23rd at 5,600, and even by the 8 days that I waited until the 31st, it had already jumped up another $2,000. So that was just insane just in itself to see, oh, wow, I bought in and I'm already making money, and I haven't even done anything with it. So after I reached a $1,300 price point, I took $300 out and I said, I'm going to do mining. I'm going to do that just as well, because that's something else that you can do that, it's something that you can kind of feel, I guess, a little bit more physical about, in a sense, because with Bitcoin, you're just putting it into a system and yeah, it's making money, kind of weird. But so mining is the idea of I'm taking my computer equipment and I'm going to be part of the Bitcoin peer-to-peer network. And I'm going to be kind of like when you swipe your card at a station and those little things, do the transaction for you. That's basically what miners are. They're doing all the transactions in the background for everybody, and they're validating everything and doing all the hard work. Well, that takes a lot of computing power. So I went and bought a Radeon RX, and I'm looking at it 580, and it's an AMD card. And then I actually had to go through and buy another power supply, because the power supply that was in this computer before was only 400 watts, and I think this one needed like 500. So I went overboard and bought an 850 power watt supply. So $300 for the card. I had to spend an extra $60 outside of the money that I had allotted. I just used my own personal money at this point. Well, it was all my personal money, but either way, I took an extra 60 bucks, bought this 850 watt power supply, and then went through and stuck it in the machine, started it going, and it started making money instantly once I set the software up. There's a little bit of configuration stuff that I wanted to do, but you don't have to do mining for Bitcoin or whatever. You can do it for anything. So I selected Ethereum, which you named earlier, which is another altcoin that's out there. And mainly because a lot of articles I was reading was Bitcoin was like, it's such a high price. There's so many people into it. It's really not worth it. This, that, and the other. And so I was like, well, I'll do Ethereum because it's basically the second altcoin that's out there besides Bitcoin. So I started doing it. And in 25 days, I made $35. So, I mean, a little over $1.25 to $1.50 a day, depending on, what happened with the machine that day or whatever. It kind of averaged it out somewhere in there, about $1.50 a day. So I ended up, like I said, 25 days, about $35, $36. And so that's actually, you can kind of hear the low hum in the background. That's actually what's going on right now is I'm mining 24/7. And basically just, doing that. So I'm, $360 in, and I've already made $35 in the first 25 days. And, somewhere along the, I think it's 255 day mark, I'll make my money back. Now, me personally, electricity, because long story short, I got a free place to rent. So I'm not having to pay for electricity. So I'm happy about that. So I'm not having to factor in electricity in this particular idea and this plan. And you do have to factor in electricity and take a look at your electric bill and see what, the cost per kilowatt is. And then you also want to get one of those, I think it's like an electricity monitor that you plug in between the wall and your PC, and then you just plug in and see how much you're putting out. And then you can actually get all that. But because I'm not having to pay for electricity, I got lucky. I'm just making the money as I go along, and I'll get my $300 back in roughly 200 something days, something like that.
Yeah, so you made 10% back. So even if you stay at the same thing, that's 10 months to make your full money back. That's your 200 and change days, 300 days.
Yep.
But then if you're mining, where does the money go? I mean, does it just go into an account somewhere? I mean, can you take let's say you made $35 in Ethereum. Can you take that and move that into another account and invest it right back into Ethereum and then play the ups and downs of the market itself? Go, buy short and hope it comes down, or you buy or take the long road and see if it just gradually goes up and make your money back, kind of like you do on the stock market? Or is it just
Absolutely. It's a lot like that. And I'm glad you use those terms, because that's how I explain it to everybody. Is it's very much stock market-ish. I can go through, and so what I've gone through and done is I set up my Coinbase account, and I set up a few other wallets. That's how you keep up with your accounts, is through wallets. You can use an online wallet through a website. You can use a software-based wallet that's locally on your machine, or you can use a hardware wallet that looks kind of like a USB device that just plugs in, and you can digitally download it that way, and keep it offline so that if a website gets hacked, you don't have to worry about it. You can do it that way. But I have mine. I don't have a hardware wallet yet. I've got a combination of both online wallet through Coinbase and a few other trading markets, and then a software-based one called Exodus. But basically, once that mining gets done, the mining pool, the company that I run through, they take out their certain percentage because I'm mining with, so many other miners out there, and they take off their percentage. And then they go through, okay, what's your account number or your wallet? So I give my wallet number, and then every time I reach 0.05 Ethereum, they'll go through and cash out. So I will continue to amount to a certain amount, whatever it is, and then until I get to the 0.05 mark or higher, if depending on how much I get during that week or that month or however long it takes me to get to 0.05, and then they'll put it into my wallet. And then I can go through and trade into Bitcoin. I can change into Litecoin. I can change into IOTA. I can change into whatever I want to at that point, because Coinbase, also works with GDAX, which is another trading thing. You can go through and trade into whatever you want at that point.
Holy crap, that's crazy. I mean,
the crazy part is how many trading things there are out there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at GDAX now, digital asset exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a lot of these places like GDAX, and you can do some other ones as well, require you to be outside of the U.S. Is it legal to trade, your Bitcoin and everything else within the U.S. on stuff like this?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there are some, like, I think there was one Bitfinex that I couldn't trade on because they particularly, as soon as you went in, it said, if you are a United States person, you're not allowed to trade on this one. And I really honestly don't know why, because Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies are supposed to be cross borders. It's internet based. It has nothing to do with where you're at physically. It's all online. It's all an electronic transaction. So it has nothing to do with where your borders are. But some of these trading platforms are not allowing for certain countries. So it's not illegal. And a matter of fact, the IRS actually recognizes Bitcoin as a big thing. And if you've heard anything in the news in the last month or so, the IRS actually said, hey, Coinbase, we need all your users and we need all their information and we need to know how much they're making. And then Coinbase was like, no. Yeah. And then they got the Supreme Court justices involved into it. And so they're like, all right, look, we're going to need anybody who's made over $20,000 since 2013. Me, I've obviously not made $20,000, so I'm not in that list, but it's a lot of their users that, have made a lot of money basically. So they're going to have to pay their capital gains tax and whatever else that the IRS looks into and feels that they need to pay. So it'll be interesting, the future, as far as the United States is concerned. They have not banned it. China has banned it, I think, in certain areas, but the United States has not, and the IRS does recognize it as a form of currency, and they will tax it if need be. Right now, it's cryptocurrency and Bitcoin and all that stuff is it's the Wild West right now. I mean, it's literally the Wild West.
Yeah, I'm just looking at this GDAX. When you look at investing and you look at the volatility nature of this thing, then you wonder, is now the time? Take away mining and doing the back end stuff, just sheer investment side of it. I think it's a promising thing to be an investor right now and doing it, because there is so much volatility. You can almost predict what's going to happen. Right when you start seeing an upswing or you start seeing a downswing, you can get in and make a choice on what you want to do with how much money you have. And I think that's a good thing for investors. It's a bad thing at the same time, because there is so much volatility. You don't know. You might go, yeah, this game costs 3,000 Bitcoin. And then tomorrow, the same game might cost 20,000 Bitcoin,
right.
Just because of the exchange and how it works. That's the issue I have with it. I wish it was a little bit more stable and doing what it's doing. I could understand going up, but it's just a tough thing right now, because you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. If you make the right call, then you're money. If you make the wrong call, you're broken on the corner.
And that's the reason why I tell people, use extra money that you don't care what happens. And one thing when it comes across to YouTube videos, and I say this myself because I've seen it in so many YouTube videos, this is not investment advice. This is just, hey, look at this thing over here that's doing a lot of, this. You can jump in if you want to. You can not jump in if you don't. Whatever, we don't care. But we'd love to have you because, it's a lot of fun, and it gets you into that finance mind, and it helps understand more of this. It has helped me understand the stock market better than anyone has ever shown me, taught me, or anything that I've learned through CNBC, CNN, whatever. I've learned more about it through Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because there's more people talking about it, because it's such a open, I don't know, it's just awesome to see. And I'm more in it for the long haul, not so much I'm in it to make my money and get out. And that's the fun part about it for me, is a lot of people will talk about, oh, it's this today or it's that, or yeah, that's fun. But you're absolutely right. As far as an investment person, you can watch and see, all right, well, we went down this much today, but we know that we can go back up this much. And there's a big thing going on. There's a CE going on today that's possible new coin. It's going to be coming out. That's I think they're going to be talking about it here in about an hour. I think we'll see what happens with that. And then tomorrow is supposed to be a big thing because the New York Stock Exchange is supposed to announce something. So 2018 is going to be a crazy year for Bitcoin, particularly because we were talking about Bitcoin reaching $10,000 by the end of 2018, and it did that in November. We still have a whole another month where it might reach 20,000 because just, last week it nearly topped out at 20,000. So, and I think it's so funny. So many people are worried about the bubble, and we get it. We understand. But the thing that has just been insane is every time someone talks about the bubble, then the price just keeps going up and up and up and up and up. And it's like, I don't understand all the background technology of it. I just get the finance side of it, and I'm learning it. So I just think it's kind of funny that every time I hear someone say a bubble, I'm like, okay, all right, no, okay, cool, thanks.
Well, there's supposed to be only so many coins in Bitcoin, right? There's supposed to be a limit to the number of Bitcoins there are. And that's kind of what making it go up is because as more and more people mine, the amount of Bitcoins that's out there is less and less. Because aren't you having, if I remember correctly, you're having to break a hash, aren't you? In order to get
Correct. It's a 256 bit hash.
Jeez.
Yeah. So to go on that side of it, going back to the mining side, that's where the crypto comes in. You're basically breaking a 256 mining hash. And if it's literally a race, and I mean a race to get that, because not only do you get, I think it's I forget how many rounds it is, but basically whoever breaks whatever round it is, there's a possible lot, not a lot, I'm sorry. Basically you win 12 Bitcoin or 12 and a half Bitcoin if you break that certain one. It's almost like a lottery basically. So, and that's the other reason why it's so crazy and so many people are out there, because now you're looking at, can I mine? Yes, absolutely. There's people throwing mounds and mounds and mounds of video cards. There's companies based upon this. Genesis Mining, if you look into it, they're cloud mining based. You can purchase into them. There are people that are building their own mining houses specifically for this, because if you break that one on that round, it's 12 and a half Bitcoin. And 12 and a half Bitcoin at $15,000 is a lot of money right now. Because when Bitcoin first started out, you actually, because it was so little back then, it was pennies. It was less than pennies when it first started. It was like 50. You get 50 Bitcoin for breaking that particular round. Then it came down to 25. And then now it's at 12 and a half. And I think by 2019 or 2020, it'll be 5.75 or whatever that is, because it keeps coming down by half as we get closer to the full amount. Because right now there's only 16 million circulating Bitcoin. We're going to reach 22 million by 2041. The last Bitcoin will be mined by 2041. So we got a while before that happens. And that's the reason why, what you just said a few minutes ago, why the price of Bitcoin keeps going up.
It makes it tough to decide what you want to do. I'm not going to lie, because if you think about it, you go, do I get in now, and do I go into the mining side of it and go through the process? And is it financially feasible for me to do that? When you look at the cost of a rig, because, if you have the money, let's just say you have $1,000 like you did, and I'm going to go build a machine. Well, mining this isn't CPU heavy, so you can get a cheap CPU, but then you got to spend the money on the GPUs in order to make that happen. And I think everybody was talking about that's why the price of AMDs went up, was because there were so few stock because all the miners were buying them. I'm not sure if that's true or false. It's hard to say. But you look at what, $500 a card. You paid 300, and I think that you're probably in the middle of the road, right, with that AMD. You're not even on the top tier. So I think I saw a 1080. I was in Best Buy the other day. I think I saw a 1080. It's like $600. I'm like, well, crap. So you got two of them because you got to do two. So that's 1,200 just for the cards because, you know, one's the loneliest number in the world. So you got to do two. And, and then you got to have the case, and you got to have the board, then you got to have the CPU, then you got to have the internet, then you got to have the electricity, you got to have the, you know, all the things. Well, hell, $2,000 later, where's my GH5?
You're absolutely correct, and that's the thing.
You know,
Not only the monetary cost that goes into it, because matter of fact, I just had a friend who joined one of my Bitcoin chat groups. He just lost, this poor guy. There's been two big hacks that the most recent one was NiceHash. He lost all of his money out of NiceHash because of their little debacle. And then the one before that was Gox, Gox. He was part of the original one. That was one of the first Bitcoin hacks that happened, and he was a part of it. He was a customer of that as well. So he lost out twice, and he messages me and he's like, "Man," he goes, "I really should have spent my $5,000 that he did for building his rig and everything. I should have spent that in the coin versus actually the hardware, because now all my mining efforts are gone because all those have been hacked and stolen and all that stuff is gone." If he would have just been in it on multiple platforms. And that's the other thing, is it's the same thing when it comes to stocks, is diversity. There needs to be diversity in cryptocurrency. You don't need to be on just one trading platform. You don't need to be in just one coin. It's the same thing. He would have made more money, in jumping in on the investing side. And that's the reason why I say, for regular people, Joes, Jills, whatever, go in on the investing side. Don't worry about the mining side. I only did the mining side because I wanted to see what it would feel like, what it would taste like, the touch and feel type thing, see where it would go. I'm going to continue doing it only because I want to make my money back off of the card, and I probably won't mine after that because I'm having a lot more fun doing the investing on the multiple coins. Like currently I have IOTA, I have Ethereum, I have Zcash, I have Bitcoin, I have Litecoin, and across those 5 or 6 that I just listed, I have like $2,000 now, or a little over $2,000. And then beyond that, I have other things that I've gotten into. I mentioned this earlier, Genesis Mining. I have a Genesis Mining contract for $120 that's making money. I also have a BitConnect trading thing. BitConnect is a trading bot that does some back-end stuff that goes through and trades for me every single day and gives me like 1% every single day. And then I have USI Tech, which is, some people say it's a scam for USI Tech, but it's pretty much the exact same thing that BitConnect does. It does trading for you, and you're basically compounding your interest every day. So I'm not sure why people say that USI Tech is a scam, but it seems to be doing the exact same thing that BitConnect is doing. I just think that BitConnect was probably one of the first names. I don't know the history of the company. I just know that looking at both of these companies, I'm putting them side by side, I put 120 in both companies, and I'm trying them out, and they basically seem to be doing the same thing, just compounding my interest every day to get me money.
Okay, what's 120? What's 1% of 120? 10 would be $1.20. So you're making what, 12 cents a day?
Yep.
So 12 cents a day. So let's say over 365 days, times that by, let's do it by 0.12. So in a year, you'll make $44.
Yeah. And I'm not saying these are gold rush things. These are just things that I'm trying out because, like I said, it's very, very easy to get stuck into one thing and see how it goes. But I think it's much better to be diversified across multiple things. Like I said, I'm also doing Genesis Mining, which I don't really like. Genesis Mining is because theirs is even lower. But it's me paying into a larger company who has enough money to go through because they have thousands and thousands and thousands of users, and they go through and buy all the equipment. They're the ones doing the real mining. You're just helping pay their bills basically, and then you get your efforts out of that. I think I have like $18 from Genesis Mining so far, and it's in between Zcash and Ethereum. So it's interesting to say the least. There's so many different facets of what you could do with Bitcoin. It's not just, hey, buy a Bitcoin or buy a piece of a Bitcoin, then that's it. There's literally so many things you could do within that. If you have seen anything about CryptoKitties, This is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life. It harkens back to the Pet Rock or these freemium games where you're paying for absolutely nothing but a coin in the game to continue playing or get faster in the game or whatever. CryptoKitties is basically the same thing. You're buying with Ethereum. You should see some of the prices on there.
Oh my God.
So
start me out. Really?
Yes. It's so stupid though that it's genius, because basically these guys have created their team or whatever, whoever started this, less than like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, or something like that. They literally started this up because one of the other things is that there's talk that people aren't spending their Bitcoin or spending their Ethereum. They're only hoarding it and collecting it and purchasing and buying it, and it's kind of stalling the price out. So with Ethereum particularly, they were like, well, let's just create something that people can spend it on. So they created this CryptoKitties thing, and you can buy a cat like the Digimon back in the day. If you remember those stupid little eggs that you,
yes,
it's just like that. And then you can go through and take care of your cat, and you can breed it, or you can, do whatever you want to with your cat. And you have a collection of kitties. There's a whole market of this stuff, and people are spending money on it.
So stupid.
It's so stupid. It's genius because they're making money.
They're just, oh my goodness gracious.
But like I said, there's so many different things you can do with cryptocurrency. It's, you're just touching the tip of the iceberg when you talk about cryptocurrency, because it's just like, do you want in? I can lead you down this rabbit hole if you want to.
This isn't,
but I gotta warn you.
I'm gonna tell you right now, this is not a rabbit hole. This is the sinkhole that swallowed up the Corvette Museum. That's what this is. Well, think about it, because you go into the small section where we started, where you were mining just for a little bit, right? And now all of a sudden you expanded that to where you could do a little bit of investment. Then you expanded it more, saying you could do 15 different things from Sunday, all while wearing your boxer shorts. And then you did it even more so you could pet a practical play kitty that's really not even real. And so really what you did is you had me at a hello, but then you pissed me off because you gave me a cat. And then you charged me for it and then kicked me out of the house. Man, this is like you know what? This is going to go back. We're going to make a Hallmark movie out of this. We were just talking about Hallmark movies in the chat this morning. We're going to make another Hallmark movie. Here's what's going to happen is I'm going to get lost in the snow. I'm going to get in an accident. CryptoKitty's going to save me. I'm going to fall in love after I get healthy. And then we're going to run away forever. Amen. The end. So
let me throw you one more. So Ethereum, the reason why it's second best and in the list, and why I believe in a lot of what Ethereum is building, is not only are there digital capabilities, but there are physical capabilities based upon the Ethereum blockchain. So let's move down the future. I talked about this in my Facebook video live the other day. Let's move down the future and say we all live off of electronic devices. We have some sort of electronic communication device. Our house is ran by electricity. Everything heat, basically everything we have now in our houses, but just futuristic. Your car is now electric. Everything that you do for transportation is electric. So everything's quote unquote electrical of some kind. Well, Ethereum can actually help with that, because with the whole peer-to-peer network, it can look at the grid, quote unquote, we'll call it, and go, okay, this guy driving this Prius, well, I'll just use Prius because that's what we have now, he's got a battery sitting there doing nothing, and it's at 100% because he plugged it into the charger as soon as he got to work, and it was only at 80 when he got there, and within 20 minutes of him being there, it's at 100. Well, this battery's sitting there doing nothing. But this neighborhood over here needs power. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer that electricity over to that neighborhood, and then it's going to power that neighborhood. In the meantime, that neighborhood's going to get a bill that's going to say, hey, we got the electricity from that car over here, and it's going to cost you this amount of money, so we're going to pay through the network back to this guy, and he's going to get paid for doing for basically doing nothing, just because he left his battery on the network. And that's the idea behind the Ethereum blockchain, is that you want to basically be able to share the power of, whatever it is that you're using. It doesn't have to be just a GPU for mining. It could be electricity in the future. But that's, future talk, and that's down the road, and that's the idea of what could happen. We never know. There's physical applications for Ethereum, and I think that's why Ethereum's going to go way above the price that it is now.
Well, blockchain is what's really behind all that, right? It's the blockchain
Correct.
technology, and that's really what's driving the thought process of what you just said, which is really interesting. But blockchain is really an overly complex peer-to-peer network to a certain degree, isn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not simple. It's not like, okay, here you go, buy, and you just hand it to them. There's a lot of complexity to it to make it work. But in reality, that's really kind of what it is. It's about connecting things directly to each other in a secure environment, and then everybody kind of doing the same thing, and then it just matriculating into this one great big brain of nodes and whatnot. But that's exactly what the peer-to-peer network is.
Absolutely. And that's basically what blockchain is. And I'm going to oversimplify it with just the way I explained it on my other Facebook Live video the other day. Blockchain is basically an open, so a lot of us grew up with checkbooks and maybe still use checkbooks. When you are using your money that you know that you have, that you got $500 this week. So you're going to write out in your checkbook, all right, I deposited $500. I went and spent $100 on groceries. I spent $50 on gas. All right, so now I know that I'm down to $350, and then that's my public or my private ledger. That's just what I wrote in my checkbook. So I know that I don't spend any more than that. That's my ledger. Blockchain is basically the exact same idea, but your ledger now lives publicly and anonymously. That's what's perfect about it, is because actually my grandmother actually joined in and was like, I don't want everybody to know about my checkbook. And I'm like, well, you don't really know about whose it is. You just see that there was a transaction of some kind for insert whatever US dollar or whatever Bitcoin or whatever thing that you're trading. And then there has to be at least, depending on, and it changes between the different coins, but however many people verify it. Or in IOTA, there's really no verification. There's more of the machines. There's a mesh network behind it that does it, so it's a lot faster. And that's the reason why there is so many different altcoins. If you look up cryptocurrency, there are over 1,000 different altcoins out there. Just because I've named 5 or 6, that's literally the tip of the iceberg. There are multiples out there because blockchain is so different in different markets. So for instance, right now, Bitcoin transactions take 20, 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, depending on, what is being added to the chain at the time. So that's the reason why there is so many different altcoins out there, because some of them want to speed up the transaction time so that's more instant. Some of them want to be able to add more security so they do more things. So some of them, like currently, I think the blockchain size for each individual block, if I remember correctly, is 8 megabytes, or no, 4 megabytes. And I think Ethereum wanted to expand it to 8 megabytes per thing. So basically it's just a running tab. And that's the only thing that's the weird thing about me for blockchain, is it's a continually growing piece of data, because the blockchain is, I can literally, if I wanted to, and I were so inclined, I could go through the blockchain and follow every single transaction of my Bitcoins that I have now and follow them all the way back to the beginning and how they got started in 2008, 2009 when Bitcoin got started. And I can see, oh, look, all these people had, this amount of Bitcoin, and that's what, how I got mine. And, you can literally see every single transaction. So it's basically a paper checkbook in a digital format that keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. So it's getting larger as it happens. And so it's not only is it getting larger, but the transactions are getting more and more power hungry. That's the other thing, is they say now, I think one Bitcoin transaction, a full Bitcoin transaction, can actually power 9 homes.
That's stupid. That's stupid. Because now all of a sudden is you have a real thing, even though Bitcoin is all around us. It's the air. It's the McClurry account content in Obi-Wan. Who knows? You know, it's got the highest one ever. But really, if it's something that's not tangible, like you cannot physically hold a Bitcoin,
Right.
Like you can a nickel, a quarter, a dollar bill, right? If I can't fit, so now I'm relying on something that's an intangible object to give me something tangible. And there is a lot of, you could say it's shady to a certain degree because you can't put, you can put a number on it, but you can't quantify it. You can't qualify it. I can't go to the local grocer, say, here's $1, give me an apple. You know, and it's great that it's at 15,496,853,000, whatever the hell else it wants to be right now. You know, 15,478 and 45 cents. Don't forget my 45 cents, dadgummit. I want my lollipop. So I mean, it's just I have a problem with an intangible giving me a tangible thing. And that's the big kicker. You know, in the stocks, we know what happens. You put your money in, you get something, even though you don't actually get the pieces of paper anymore, and you don't really get dividends anymore, but you physically got a part of the company. Whereas this, you're not physically getting anything other than something telling you it's worth X. And then you got to go find somewhere that will take it, and so you can get something for a Y. And that's the issue that I have with Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency right now.
But you literally just nailed it on the head. It's the exact same as buying stock in a company. You're technically just buying stock in the idea that Bitcoin will do well. And that's basically what thousands, or I'd say hundreds of thousands of people are doing right now, is they're buying into the idea that Bitcoin is the future. The only difference is we're not getting a piece of a company. We're not getting a paper. If this was the 90s saying we get a piece of company, this is, you have an idea that Bitcoin will be the future, and it could replace the US dollar, or it could be just like I think it's going to be a complementary payment system.
Some people call that dirty cheating. I'm just saying. You know, wasn't there a cartoon a long time ago that says, I'll give you $2 tomorrow for a hamburger today?
Absolutely.
And a lot of people call that cheating and stealing. You know? In the stock market, that's called playing it short or playing it long. You know, man, it's tough because you see the future. You know, we're tech guys and we see the future, and we see that this, whatever currency you choose, I don't care which one it is, will be a part of some form of payment future, right? Just like Android Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay is now and starting to become. Unless you're at Bass Pro Shop, where it never freaking works with my phone, and I always have to pull out a credit card. So I mean, it's I see it in the future. I don't see where, I think after the honeymoon is over here, and I think it'll happen here next year, the honeymoon will be over for all of it. I don't see it ever becoming anything more of just an extra form, as you said, an ancillary form of payment, something to add to or append something that you want to do, or you don't want anybody to see your transactions. That's all I think it's ever going to be. I'd much rather spend my $2,000 on a GH5 than I would in investing. Right?
Yeah, but you could get a GH5 for 0.03, I think it is, Bitcoin versus $2,000.
Right. So let's
Just
see.
saying.
If I was looking at the sheer number, 4 digits versus a 0.02 digit, you know, that actually sounds pretty good. That's like, oh man, I'm only paying 3 cents ish for a camera.
there's those auction websites that do that. If I'm not mistaken, they advertise up to 70, 80, 90% off the retail price because you can get it for like, it looks like pennies on the dollar, but when you actually go into their website, what you're doing is you're taking your dollars and you're exchanging it for their form of currency. And then whenever their form of currency goes into the auction, then it looks like you're paying point whatever, and it looks like you're saving 70, 80% off retail because they're using their form of currency. Yeah. And they're not telling you in the ad that it's, oh, that's our form of currency, not US dollars. So actually, no, you really only got 10% off.
Yeah. So right now, $2,000 equals 0.128800 Bitcoin.
There you go.
Yay. I'm excited.
Too funny.
I'm excited. I can't wait to do absolutely nothing.
I'm only in it for the investment part of it. I'm not so much in the spending of it because like I said, I've already made my initial $1,000 back. And if I wanted to, I could absolutely cash out right now, everything, and be fine and be happy. And I made, an extra $1,000 off of my $1,000. But I feel like next year is going to be a crazy year, not only for Bitcoin, but for all alt currencies. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think you're right. I think if you want to invest in something that's volatile and you like that type of investment and you look for that, I akin it to horse racing. You can look at the spreadsheet all you want. You can go by any formula you wish to go by. The horse's name has 3 names, each with 4 letters, so that makes it a winner. I got a friend of mine. She grew up in New York around the horse tracks, and she actually kind of taught me how to bet the horses, right? Because down here in Texas, we got a horse track. And when she came down to visit, she and I went out to the horse track, and she literally had the sheet out in front of her, and was doing some weird Harvard MIT math to pick these horses to win.
Wow.
It was crazy. And then we got to go watch the horses, and you got to look at them. And they had all this stupid stuff, but it's very high risk type of betting. There's no guarantee that what you look like or what you look at, is going to make sure you're a winner for whatever you do. And that's what I look at this. There's a lot of people who like that high risk, high reward. But when I look at that investment, I'm thinking, yeah, I could go into it right now and probably make, let's say I put 1,000 into it, I could probably make $2,000 or $3,000 and get out fairly quickly. But at the same time, I could also lose that money. Now I'm stuck with putting this money in. Now I got to wait and hope that it comes back up because I don't want to cash out yet because then I'm going to lose all the money. And that's kind of where it is. Kind of like when I bought the Sega's V Squared phone. That's taken over 2 years and hadn't come out yet. That's $575 I lost, gone.
Is that a Kickstarter or an Indiegogo?
No, they did that straight.
Oh, okay.
And it's still, we still joke about it, how I got a vaporware phone, and I do.
I did the same thing. I spent $200 on an iPhone wallet. This was back before Samsung Pay and Apple Pay and Android Pay. They were, it was, I can't remember. It was like a case or something. They put I forget how they did it, but it was basically $200 that I put in, and so did thousands and thousands of other people. And the guy, this was a Kickstarter, and this is where I got a Kickstarter bad taste in my mouth. The guy made off with like $30 million and just disappeared after the whole thing. And I think 100 people got phones, and that was it.
That's just, but that's really what you're doing if you think about it for this cryptocurrency. But so here's the ultimate question: is it worth somebody looking at and taking a jump either on the mining side or the investment side right now? And so if I came to you and I said, okay, I have $500, is it worth for me to do something like that? What would it be? Go.
Absolutely, yes. I just did this for my mother, actually. She did the same thing. She read all my stuff. It's like, what are you doing? Why is your Facebook feed just constantly this? And I was like, if you want to know, I'll let you know. But no, on the mining side, absolutely not. Don't waste your money on it. It's too expensive to get started. The upstart is way too much. It's not worth it unless you're gonna actually buy, I would say, a minimum of 5 cards or more, then possibly. But a single card, even dual card, not really. I would say 5 cards or more. So I'm going to say no on mining. As far as investing, just a regular Joe throwing in $500, absolutely yes. I have a Coinbase account. Message me. I'll be more than glad to give you a link, because if you put at least a minimum of $100 into your Coinbase account and you buy your first little bit of Bitcoin, I get $10 worth of Bitcoin. You get $10 worth of US Bitcoin. That's all you got to do. Just $100, and we both get $10 automatically right off the bat. And it's very easy. There's a lot of websites to watch. Coinbase gives you an app on your phone, both iOS and Android. You can go on their website. You can see what it's doing for that day. There's a website called coincapmarket.com, I think it is, that gives you more of like a stock ticker, every single one of them, what the price is doing. They have an app as well that lets you see what it's trading at, so you can see how much money you are making or not making. But absolutely, on the trading side as an investment, yes, give it a shot. And do it the way my mom's going to do it. She said, and this was very smart, I thought. So if she's going to put in, or I'll just use my $1,000. She's saying, and once you make your $1,000 and then you make it to $2,000, you've made your initial $1,000 back. Take your $1,000 back. You didn't lose anything, because you've gotten it back, and then now you can take that other $1,000 and it can just be whatever it is you want it to be. That way you're losing or not. And it doesn't have to be 1,000, it can be 100, whatever. Put in $100. Once you make your $100 back, take your $100 out. You didn't lose anything, and then play with whatever else.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah. I don't know. I have to look into it and see.
If you do, I got a Coinbase link for you.
I don't know. I don't, I don't see. The thing is I like micro trading. Micro trading is so much fun. If you don't know what micro trading is where you're trading on the seconds versus the days or the weeks.
Okay.
So like, say for example, right now I might do a 60-second trade. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, okay, the price is $1. I'm saying in the next 60 seconds, it's going to go up or it's going to go down. I'm choosing which one. It's a 50-50 shot. It's kind of like blackjack a little bit, but that's what you're choosing. And at the end of that 60 seconds, if it went above when you initially went in, you make money. If it went below, then you lost a little bit of money. But you can change that trading from 60 seconds to 2 minutes to 5 minutes to 30 minutes to a day. You can make it whatever you want to make it. But that micro trading is really exciting because it forces you to look at the pattern of whatever it is you're trading.
Right.
So that if all of a sudden Bitcoin starts going down, well, my trade might be at 15,000, but then I'm saying it's going to go below that 15,000, and I just watch it go down and down. And the more it goes, the more I make. And the more it does, it's whatever. It's kind of like playing short or going long. But that's really where I enjoy trading. Now you do that on a small level. You do $10, $15, whatever you do.
Right.
Or you can do more, obviously. And that's kind of where I'm looking at. And I was looking at that GADX, and I'm not sure if they do that there or not.
They have limit trading where you can set that. And matter of fact, if someone were to buy, so to get in, there is a fee. I think like for $1,000, you lose $9 into the transaction fee, so you're only getting $991. But after you get in your first Bitcoin, if you go over to GDAX, because they don't tell you this, the same company that does Coinbase is the same company who does GDAX. And so if you move if you connect your GDAX to your Coinbase, you can actually do a limit sale where you can actually change a little bit of that and say, I want it in at this price or whatever. And then you actually get no fees. So if you buy in after that fact, there are no fees. So that's one thing I literally just learned yesterday watching this guy do it. He was like, yeah, you know, once you buy your Bitcoin on Coinbase, they charge you a fee. If you don't want those fees anymore, go over to GDAX, do a limit sale, set your limit instead of doing the full, I forget what he called it, but the way that they do their purchases is the opposite, and you get a fee. And that's why Coinbase exists, because they make it very easy to purchase Bitcoin, but they're charging you that transaction fee to make it easy. But if you use GDAX and do the limit sale and you buy through them, there is no fee. So, you know, here or there.
Yeah, they got a fee section here. So taker fee, 25%. You know, when you get, still though, man, that's a lot. That's a 1/4%.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and that's the big thing that everybody doesn't like right now is the transaction fees. And again, that's why there's so many different other altcoins, is because some of these, they don't want those transaction fees, and they're like, you know, because like for me, I just traded over to IOTA because of the whole story about Microsoft and IOTA, and then come to find out there wasn't really any validity to it, so I'm kind of bummed, but whatever. I bought 7 IOTA, but with that, because what happened was I had my Ethereum mining, which got me like $35, something like that. And I heard the story about IOTA, and I watched it in like a week's time go from 60 cents up to $2 and then up to $4. And I was like, well, that's pretty quick. I really wish I would have known about this a week ago and then would have bought into 60, 70, 80, you know, percent or 80 cents price. Well, I bought in at $4 or whatever. And now, you know, when I bought, my Ethereum overshot my IOTA purchase. I couldn't get exactly 7, so I have like 6.99 something. And that leftover Ethereum is sitting there in that same account, but I can't do anything with it because their transaction fee is high enough that I can't get it out. So it's like a little micro transaction that's stuck, and not so much stuck. It's just, it's not worth it for me to get it out because the transaction fees overshooting how much Ethereum that I have in there. So it's like I basically would have to put another little bit of Ethereum in there to make that up, and then buy more IOTA, and then the whole trading game is just ridiculous once you start looking into the details of it. But yeah, microtransactions are a pain.
Yeah, IOTA right now is at 436.
I think I bought in at 419.
Yeah, according to coinmarketcap.com. So, I mean, you look at that. Yeah, you kind of look at it going up, and yeah, you kind of see it trade going up and down. So, I mean, yeah, it looks like it's on its wayward up right now. So that'd be interesting to see, you know, IOTA.
Yeah, and the fun part about it is, so there's some people that have become quote unquote cryptocurrency millionaires because they're holding so much money within, because they were way back when it first got started, and now theirs are worth so much. Like there's a guy who literally every single day he gives away $100 worth of a Bitcoin to some random person on his YouTube channel. He has a randomizer thing he clicks and just gives it away. And then there's another guy who gives away every day, like instead of $100 worth of Bitcoin, he gives away 0.1 Bitcoin, because he makes so much money in referrals and all the people that watch his videos and link into him. It's almost pyramid scheme-ish the way some of these things work, but he has so many people underneath him that he's making so much money that he's like, I'll just give away 0.1 of a Bitcoin every single day, even though that 0.1 Bitcoin is like $1,000 or $2,000, something like that, whatever it is. He just, on his YouTube channel every single day, as long as you leave a comment, subscribe, and like his video, he'll just give you 0.1 of a Bitcoin. I'm like, that is ridiculous.
That's crazy. Must
yeah.
Be nice.
That's what I said. I was like, man, when you're making that, and what's funny is it's young people. It blows my mind the type of people that are in it. And then when I read those stories about the people talking about the bubble, it's the old white guys. And I'm like, you're talking so negatively about it because you're so used to gold and this and that, and you're so used to the United States market the way that it is, that this whole volatility thing and this whole new future stuff, you just want to badmouth it the entire time. While watching these YouTube guys, there's 2 of them, Trayvon James and then Crypto Nick. I think, are the two YouTube users that are the ones giving away money every single day. And it's just like, they've made so much money, it doesn't matter to them to give away a little bit. And I'm like, that's the complete opposite of what I see the top 1% now. They don't give away their money just for the fun of it, and they don't teach you how to do this. These guys are on YouTube showing you how to do this every single day, and they'll give you their analysis in a sense. And they'll say, hey, this is what I did today, da, 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 da. But and at the end of the video, and thanks for watching, randomizer so-and-so gets blah, blah, blah. You know, and I'm like, that's just the complete opposite of what, you know, yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I'm going to have to really look at it and see and figure out if I really want to do that, because there's so much other things to invest my money in.
Right.
You know, we talk about camera, we talk about it jokingly, but in reality, that's a very good investment, especially if you do other things outside of what I do here. You know, it can be used for anything else. And,
right.
Or, you know, invest in my car, which really, you know, is a lot of people will say that's a bad investment, but, you know, it all comes down to personal, how much you love stuff, you know.
Right.
Or maybe I'll go buy a parrot and take a whole bunch of pics. I'm just saying. Maybe I'll let him eat out of my beard. Oh, wait, that's right. I shaved that. Yeah. you know. Apparently, somehow there's talk in my house about getting a hamster. I'm like, no.
Too funny.
I'll leave the door open one day, and all these random cats I keep roaming around my place, I might get it. So
nice.
See a hamster. So that's good stuff, man. What else you got? I'm brain overload about cryptocurrency, so I got.
Oh yeah, like I said, that just if you ever get into it and you have questions, I am by no means an expert, but I am still learning this every single day. But if you ever have questions for anybody that watches this video, I'm glad you made it in an hour or whatever that we're in. I'm glad you made it this far. But if you personally, Byron, have any questions, or anybody that watches this video that has questions, feel free to shoot me a message, and I'll be more than glad to answer it, because right now that's where my focus is. Literally, I may be working at Lyft right now, but like the second I'm out the door, I'm literally checking my phone, seeing what the latest news is, seeing what my chat groups are talking about. It's literally has taken over my life. Like I bought an Xbox One X a month ago, and it's still sitting over there in the box. I haven't even opened it up. I feel bad.
And don't let Charles hear you say that. You know, good God, you know, he'd be all over you like stink on shit.
You know, since October 23rd, that first day when I bought in, I think that's what happened, is that it was the cryptocurrency bug that bit me, and I just haven't looked back.
Well, that's good though. At least it's a clean thing that you're into, and it's got some product behind it, and it's got a future to it, instead of just spinning your wheels and wasting your time. You know, that's always a good thing. If you're passionate about it and there's a reason for doing it, then I don't see a single thing wrong with that, man. I mean, get your head in there and have fun, and you know, and enjoy it. And but what we'll do is we'll make sure that all your stuff, where anybody can reach you, they can look at your Facebook stuff. We'll put all the links in the description below once we clean this up. So make sure they can see it, Twitter, the whole 9 yards, because I know you post a lot of stuff on Twitter too.
Yep.
I'll make sure we put that all in the link description below. So if anybody's got any questions, they can shoot you a message. Don't shoot it to me, because I'm just going to hit that little arrow and it says forward, and I'm just going to send it to you. I mean, it'd be like a waste of somebody's time. Really? No. Just go right to Rusty. Just go straight to this.
Awesome.
I'm really just that quicksand that's right below the horse going, oh! That's all I am. Just sucking it in. That's all I'm doing, you know. But that's such good stuff, and it's always good to talk to you, man. It's always fun. It's always good information coming from you. So if anybody needs anything, they're watching this video, shout out where they can reach you right now. Shigabang go.
All right, Twitter, it's at Rusty G, Instagram at Rusty G, Facebook at Rusty Greer, Google Plus, just search Rusty Greer. I think it's google.com/plus Rusty Greer 1, because I couldn't get Rusty Greer, which was weird. I don't know why they had to put a 1 on the end of it. But that's pretty much everywhere. And if you want to shoot me an email message, go to earn.com/RustyG. It'll cost you $1, but you can shoot me an email.
What?
Earn gets me. That's another thing that I'm doing. Earn gets me. If you want to, like, I can post this anywhere. If you want to actually get my personal email or email and get into it, you can actually hit it and then say, all right, I need to actually talk to him, so I'm going to pay $1, and then I get $1 worth of Bitcoin in my account.
I am not paying you a stinking dollar.
You're on my
email.
You're on my whitelist. You're on my whitelist. Don't worry about it.
It's not that I don't appreciate the small man going for the money, because I do. I really do. But you are stuck in smoking some water. If you think I am going to pay $1, I don't care. Not just you, but anybody. If somebody says, hey, email me. All right, what's your email? Well, go here and pay me $1. Son, I can tell you how quickly that email is not going to get to you. And this is coming from a guy who has no problem spending money. I'm going to tell you right now. But that's pretty cool, though, if you think about it. It kind of puts you to the top of the list. And you can't be mad at it, because YouTube does the same thing on YouTube Live. YouTube Live is that if you want to message somebody who's making the content, there's a little $sign in the live chat that you can press, and they get a little bit of money. And it kind of brackets or highlights your
super
message.
comment, I think it's what it's called.
Yeah, and it does the same thing where they get a little bit of extra money. So I'm not mad at you for doing that. I'm really not. I just think it's funny. I got to pay you $1. Yeah, I'll pay you $1. So let me get. No, so that's kind of cool though. But what else? Anything else? Got anything else? Do you?
Other than that, go out, go have fun. 2018 is right around the corner. Matter of fact, I'm wearing this shirt on purpose. It's a Sky Coaster shirt. I just went back down to Orlando about a month and a half ago, I forget. And going to Orlando as an adult is completely different than going to Orlando as a kid. The park is a lot much, and I say the park, but Universal Studios, Islands of Adventure, the two that I went to, so much smaller and less things to do when you're an adult than it is. Maybe it's just me, because most of their rides were those 4D rides where you're in a cart and then they drive you around and you're wearing 3D glasses and they blow stuff at you, or they drop water on you, or you're in a theater where you're watching a 3D thing and they have things on the seats. I don't know. It was so goofy. So I went outside and went to one of those side of the highway park things, and they had one of those I call it a Superman ride, where basically it's this big huge triangle thing, and they zip you back way back up here, and it's 300 feet in the air, and they just drop you, and you just go literally flying. And I got a video of it that I shared a while back, but that was a lot of fun. That was the first time I've ever done one of those, and because I've done skydiving, not a problem. I'd love to do skydiving again, but that was tandem, so it kind of like you're tagged to somebody, but still fun. And the Sky Coaster, the next thing I want to do is this. They had it in this park, but that particular Sky Coaster ride is $50 for one ride. So I didn't want to do another $50 for the other one, which is where you ride in a little circle, and it does the same thing. It's like a slingshot. It pulls you down, and then they let go of it, and you go, sailing up, and you flip and do all.
Screw that. They can take that back, put it on the truck, send it to the airplane graveyard for all I care. The biggest thing about the one that you go down like this, we got a place like that here in Dallas. I don't know if it's 300 feet. But it's damn tall. That's all I know. And you look at it, you go, you got to be out of your mind, son. And the funny thing is I've skydived. I don't have any problem with skydiving, although I don't like heights. I don't have any problem with skydiving until the moment when the bunnies start looking like bunnies.
You're too close. You're too close.
Because then all of a sudden, if something fails and break, there is not going to be the bounce effect, right? Like if you start 10,000 and all of a sudden everything breaks, you're going to get at least a bounce. So, you're just not going to go splat and be done, right? You're going to get a bounce, like them ducks that have to jump out of the tree.
Right.
Bang, and you might survive that, because you might get lucky. But when you start seeing the bunnies and you can recognize them and you can see that the dog who's chasing you is a black and white color or the red, and all of a sudden you see the little foxes, your point of bounce ability is gone. At that stage of the game, you know, if something breaks and you just go straight down, you're done. Not only are you done, but what's going to happen is you're going to land and you're probably going to stay alive long enough to go, oh, son of, and then you're going to die. That's the problem I have with that 300 thing, because you can see all the people looking at you. And then you start going, oh my God, I'm good. And you get closer and closer and closer. And I swear to God, you can look at the fence that you have to go by and you know you're 50 feet above it. But I swear to God, I bet the whole time you thought, I'm going to hit the fence. 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 Even though you know you're not going to. And I wonder how many people go by and people who are standing there watching all of a sudden get sprayed with some form of liquid. You know, look at him. Oh man, what was that? Where'd that come from? You know that's happening. You know it is. People getting off shaking. I gotta go home. You're a knucklehead for getting on to begin with. You should go home.
The funny thing is they actually have a manual control so that if you do get up there and you have it, and let's say you're on there with two different people. So there's three of you, you and two friends. If they want to go and you're the one, you know, with the cord rip thing, they'll control it from down there. They'll be like, nope, you're going anyway. And I asked the girl, I said, is there anybody who goes up by themselves and just can't do it? They get up there and they freak out. She goes, yeah. She goes, I said, do you ever make them do it? She's like, for the singles, no. She's like, no, we'll just slowly bring them back down. I'm like, that's no fun. I would make them do it anyway. But nope, click.
Yeah, but I guess they're screaming loud enough they can hear them.
Too funny.
Oh, well. All right, man. What else you got? Anything else good?
No. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the year. We're just a few days away from the end of the year. Tomorrow is actually my birthday, so I'm going to see how that works out. And then, you know, we're just 20 some odd days away from the end of the year. We'll see how 2018 is. We got a lot of new phones coming out. Usually the first one we'll hear about is the Samsung device. There's a rumor. I doubt that it's going to happen because I've never seen it happen at CES, but there's rumor that they might announce it at CES instead of waiting to February at I've been away from the smartphone stuff so long. What is it? Barcelona?
Yeah. If whatever it is. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
IFA. Yeah, I think it's IFA. Yeah. But they usually wait till March, February, end of February, early March to announce, but there's rumor that CES they may announce their new S9s. But I doubt it'll be at CES. I'm interested to see because I'm currently on the S8 Plus, but I got a lot of accessories for my S8 Plus and I love it. And I didn't go to the S9, but I didn't go to the Note 8 mainly due to the fact of the battery, because I have my S9 and the battery sucks. And the Note 9 or Note 8 has a smaller battery than the S9 did. And I'm like, nope, battery already sucks on my S9 Plus or S8 Plus. I'm sticking with it until I see a bigger battery. So,
you know, the phone that I have had the best battery life of right
what's
now?
that?
The Razr phone.
Really?
Really? And you want to know why?
Why?
Because I never use the stupid thing. Look at this thing. Look how big this freaking thing is. This is it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so here's my HTC 11. Look at this. Oh, hang on. Let me do it this way. There.
Wow.
There. Yeah, that's it. So Chris, CJ and I were talking about this at lunch earlier this week, is that build quality, the feeling of it, everything about it is good. Okay. The screen sucks. The camera sucks.
Right.
The speakers are outstanding. They really are. You know, they're all by themselves. But if you're a gamer, it's the phone. If that's all you're going to do on it is game and not do anything outside, do it all inside in a darkened room where you don't have any light shining on the screen because it can't get bright enough, or you don't have to take any pictures or video, or you don't have to do any of that, then it's great.
Yeah.
Everything else, it's not worth it. You know, it doesn't even save the pictures to the SD card.
What?
There's no freaking control. There's nothing in settings that says, where do you want to save your pictures? Internal SD. There's nothing. It just goes straight to internal.
Wow, that's ridiculous.
64 gigs. It saves everything to internal, and you can't even move it, and it's just stupid. So
speaking of 64 gigs, that's also one of the rumors for the S9 is that they're going to be using their own Samsung internal memory, and it's possibly going to be a 512. Yes. How ridiculous would that be?
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. What'll happen is in the S9, they'll do 256. They'll keep the SD card because it's so polarizing to lose the SD card, right? When you have an SD card, and yes, you got all the talk about the security issues and the read and write speeds and all that stuff with SD cards. We all know that, right? But you know, if anything happens to my phone, let's say I'm using the Razr phone and it actually saves the pictures to the SD card, because we're just hypothetical here because we know that's not really happening. It's not waterproof. So let's just say it actually falls into a lake or a pool and it's saving it internally. I've lost all that. As long as I have the SD card and it's saving to the SD card, I still have that. So the SD card actually has a purpose. I don't think Samsung will get rid of the SD card.
Even with the waterproofing and the stuff that they're doing now, you don't think so?
No, I think it's too polarizing. Now, having said that, going to the S10 or whatever variant they call it after this one,
right?
I see it happening then. I see them doing 256. Maybe they might even do the 512 on the memory, and the S9 be the tester. Okay, and then when they go to the next one, that's when I see the SD card slot go away.
I don't know. Maybe the Note 9. Because the Note 9, they usually like to add features that they didn't put into the S series.
Yeah, it's
and
always
try them out there.
Yeah, it's always experimental there. Yeah, you're right there. So yeah, you could be correct there. But I think they need one iteration of a phone with the new 512 memory. Once they get that out of the way, and once they get all the bug works out, it'll be gone after that. And then it'll be a die and breed like the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack.
Ah, that pains me so badly. Pains me.
It will. It's just, I don't see it. The issue I have with not having, see, like the Razr has no 3.5 millimeter jack.
Right.
Not due to space, because the thing is a freaking slab, right? I mean, it is. You could hold it. I'll tell you right now, if you held this thing in your hand and you hit somebody in the head, you could go to jail for hitting somebody with a weapon. It's that sturdy, that stiff, that good of a piece of equipment, right?
Wow.
You know, my HTC U11, it would just shatter. You know, it would look damn good shattering, though. I am not gonna lie. You would get the sparkles. You'd be like, "Oh, holy crap, that looked good in the sunlight." No doubt about it. You would stop, and even the person who got hit would go, "Wow, that looks good." No fingerprints on that piece right there. That's stunning, right? So I mean, but I don't see it happening. The Razr phone by far has been the biggest disappointment of a phone.
Well, you got to understand the background where it came from. That Robin phone, you know, they just that was bad.
Yeah, and the problem I have is it's hard to see right here, but when you look at these are the buttons for the volume. So I go to press the volume, and my finger takes up both of them.
Oh wow!
At the same time, they're just like little nubs. That's all they are, just little bitty nubs, and they're close to the edge of the case. And it's you just you figure it out. It's not hard, but the first time you do it, like literally the first time I had my thumb and I was pressing it with my thumb, kind of like this, and I was watching the volume go up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. I was like,
what is going on?
Well, I couldn't figure it out, you know. And it's just the speakers; they're just all on its own. So when I do my full review, you know, you'll see it. But if I had $800 to spend on a phone right now, this very moment, if I had one, I would buy an HTC U11. Any variant of the U series right now, the Lite or the Plus, they're all good phones. They all got basically the same technology, just one's smaller screen, one's bigger screen.
Right.
I would look at the LG V30.
Yes.
I would look at that. And then as much as it pains me to say it, and it does, it hurts me in the back of the kidney section, like somebody rabbit punched me, right? I would buy the S8 unlocked 64 gig.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And if you're on T-Mobile, and I think AT&T and Verizon all doing BOGO deals right now.
I would buy the unlocked version. And then let's just say that you wanted something different. Okay. You didn't want the normal variants, what everybody gets: iPhone, Samsung, LG, HTC, right? You didn't want a Huawei, and you didn't want a Lenovo / Motorola, right? I think the one phone that's probably the one least people think about is the Sony Xperia XZ Premium.
Any of the Z versions, yeah, awesome phones.
Yeah, I mean, you get waterproof, not weatherproof, waterproof, dustproof, and all that stuff. The military specs on top of that. You get the Sony sensor. You get a true 4K display, not a UHD display, but a true 4K display. You get the front-facing speakers, and you get a company who will actually send you a code to unlock the bootloader.
Nice. Now, I didn't know that.
Sony actively allows you, and will do it like HTC will as well, to actively unlock the bootloader to do whatever you want to do. At that, they support that 100%.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So if you're looking for that, that would be what it is. I would not. I repeat, I would not buy a Razer phone unless you are an absolute gaming machine. If you
or
are
a Razer fanboy.
No. If you just love to play, forget the naming. If you just love to play a ton of games on your phone, that's your dude. Like some people watch YouTube videos, some people read, all that stuff. If you're like a gaming machine, that's the phone to get, because the 120 hertz, and I told CJ this, it's like taking butter and then whipping it, putting it at room temperature, finding the perfect piece of bread that is smooth as silk, and then spreading that butter all over, and then just smearing it all over yourself. That is how awesome that 120 hertz is.
Nice.
It is nothing. When you go back to the regular HTCs or all the other phones, they're just like going into the fridge and getting the cream cheese that's cold and getting the knife and scraping it on your piece of toast like your grandmother did for breakfast. Can I have jelly? There's no jelly in this house.
Hilarious.
That's it. So, and on that bombshell, as somebody says, I'm going to go and I'm going to get outside when it's warmer, and I'm going to have a good time and enjoy the rest of the day, man.
You as well. I got to head back to Nashville. I'm going to get my job going, so I got to commute back.
Well, have fun with your job. Be safe. Thanks so much for explaining all this to us. And if you need anything, you know how to reach us. Stay out of trouble, because it's cheaper to stay out of trouble than it is to get into it. Peace out.